Hello, internet friends. My name is Bay, and welcome to a special behind-the-scenes show of a whole bunch of God of War and God of War Ragnarok oriented content stuff, stuff that I have found that was pretty cool. Some of this stuff you may have watched already. So just imagine this, that we're all just kind of sitting around on a big couch, right? Watching a whole bunch of stuff, talking about it, reacting to it. I'm going to have my film nerd discussion about it, right? So this is like a launch special where we're going to look at some things. I'm going to share some other stuff. There are some longer form pieces of content we're not going to be able to watch today. Trying to keep everything down to like segments of like half an hour or so, because it might not be everyone's cup of tea to sit here and watch a YouTube video together, which pauses every so many minutes while I, talk about something or give my own thoughts or opinions on whatever, right? React to it, if you will. So this is sort of a God of War and God of War Ragnarok and OG previous God of War games. We're going to look at the comics. We're going to look at all the behind the scenes featurettes that Santa Monica Studios has put out. We're going to look at some advertisements for it, just to break things up to be kind of funny. We're going to look at I'm going to show and drop some links, and I'll update the description box of this video for some links for some other awesome videos about this story and characters and whatnot, because we can't watch everything today. And then the big deal is tonight I'll be picking up my midnight release. I haven't had a midnight release since I was back in college. A midnight release for my PlayStation 5 bundle with God of War Ragnarok. And if everything goes smoothly and I can get back home to the studio and then set everything up and then download everything, get everything going, all my wiring is all good. So I can just like plug it in and it should be already capturable on my system. It should be all set to go. But 3 a.m. So less than 12 hours from right now. I can't do math. 10 hours from now, we'll be live with God of War Ragnarok. So without further ado, let's don't claim my video. Hopefully with chat on screen and my sigil stuff on the bottom, I won't get my videos claimed today, but we'll start off with do the dance. All right, not again. I can't do it again. I can't do it again. So that was the Japanese God of War commercial, and that guy dancing apparently is that Hiromishi Sato? Very popular in Japan. His many TV shows for children focus on fitness. That was the Japanese commercial for God of War Ragnarok. I thought that's the best way to start this off. Anyway, now to actually, I don't know if I love or hate that. Yeah. So now for something that will not be narrated by me, but something that was helpful for me, let's do a God of War, the previous games, which encompasses almost all of them, before God of War 2018. Let's do a recap.
With a new God of War game on the horizon, a mellowed out Kratos working on his Dad of the Year award, and a shift from Greek to Norse mythology,
Indeed.
It's important to take a look back.
Let me know how the volume is on these, by the way, if anything.
Here's God of War's story in 7 minutes. Spoilers ahead.
Obviously.
This is our anti-hero, Kratos, a Spartan warrior who we later learn is actually a demigod, born of Zeus and a mortal woman named Callisto. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. One day, Kratos gets overwhelmed in battle and cries out for help to Ares, the god of war.
Ares!
Destroy my enemies, and my life is yours.
And Ares responds accordingly. And thus, Kratos becomes a servant to the god of war.
Should be good, Nico?
That is, until that fateful day when he is tricked into killing his own wife and child in a fit of rage.
The image of his two final victims would stay with him for all his days.
Kratos attempts to break
He
free
did
of
do
his
that.
blood oath with Ares, but in the process gets defeated and captured by the three Furies. The Furies mess with Kratos' mind, giving him amnesia and leaving him docile in their mystical illusion. This goes on until Orcos, the Keeper of Oaths, leads Kratos to the Oracle of Delphi to clear his clouded mind and learn the truth.
But remember,
Obviously.
the truth
That might as well happen.
comes with a price.
The Oracle tells Kratos that in order to break free from his madness, he must kill those who keep his bond to Ares, the Furies. And so, Kratos does just that.
Yeah,
Afterwards, Kratos learns that he must kill one more person in order to truly be free of his bond and restore his lost memories. Sweet, innocent Orcos. Kratos kills him, but it turns out that the memories that he fought so hard to restore were actually the nightmares of him murdering his family. He then makes it his goal in life to remove
Yay.
these memories through his service to the goddess Athena. Cut to Persephone, who's rightfully pissed off about being forced to marry Hades and rule a bunch of dead people in the underworld. To get revenge, she plans to destroy the Pillar of the World, which would bring Mount Olympus down with it. More importantly, though, during Kratos' mission to stop Persephone, he travels to the underworld and is reunited with his lost daughter, Calliope.
Why did you go?
I am here now, child, and I will not leave you again.
Seeing her again makes Kratos want to
Just this is the first pause because we're gonna have to. This section, this is where I'll plug something else that's equally awesome. I have so many tabs open. 1 second, I need to find the right tab. There is an awesome, really well done, and actually Cory Barlog, the creator director of God of War. Yep, that's that music starting it. I'm gonna put this in here. You can just put this on a tab, hit it on your watch later. This is called Untangling God of War. This is a written, produced, edited, and animated. I think it's by Javed Starrett. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but it's like a whole produced documentary. It's 36 minutes long, so we can't watch it today. It's a little too long. This is a full-on, beautiful, well put together like video essay documentary thing. And I didn't know this because I haven't played these old games. This scene, you know those quick time events that happen in God of War sometimes? This scene becomes a quick time event where you have to push Calliope, which is Kratos' first child, away from him, where you have to spam the X button. And there's a little segment in that big documentary about how the flow of this sequence goes, and it becomes very weird that you just have to do the smash X to push your dead daughter away thing. It's just all these things in these older games on how just really terrible and obviously anti-hero, just evil, weird crap that Kratos does. But this one stuck out to me as somewhat very silly from the older games.
forsake everything in order to be with her. Unfortunately, that's not a possibility, and Kratos must leave his daughter behind to stop Persephone and Atlas from destroying
actually
Olympus.
shows it right there a
After
little
killing
bit. I
Persephone
forgot.
And chaining Atlas to the pillar, Kratos once again resigns himself to his fate of serving the gods, which he does for about a decade until he gets fed up. Still haunted by his nightmares that the gods have promised to get rid of, he confronts Athena about it.
Athena! 10 years, Athena. I have faithfully served the gods for 10 years. When will you relieve me of these nightmares?
The goddess of wisdom lays it all out for him. Defeat the rampaging Ares, and she will rid Kratos of his burden. His journey
Easy
leads him
enough.
to Pandora's box, inside of which lies the power to kill a god.
Yep.
But before he can claim that power, Ares hurls a stake from exactly 621,528 yards away. It's true, we measured it, and pins Kratos to the
It's true, it's not true. Apparently, it's ridiculously far, obviously.
wall.
Because
Kratos
of course.
somehow falls down to the underworld, fights his way back up, because that's apparently how it works,
Yeah.
opens Pandora's box, becomes a giant, defeats his inner demons, and finally kills Ares. After saving Athens and Olympus, Athena thanks Kratos for his service, but still won't rid him of the nightmares that plague him. Instead of just letting him die, Athena makes the biggest mistake of her immortal life. She puts him on the throne as the new god of war. Kratos takes a sidebar
Roll
to find
credits.
his long-lost brother Deimos, who was taken away by the gods out of fear of an oracle's prophecy that a marked mortal would bring the destruction of Olympus. A prophecy that I'm sure the gods wished was a little more specific.
That documentary that's linked in chat as well, that full-on one, goes actually more into this game, the whole Ghost of Sparta and how it connects and stuff. I didn't ever play this game. I only remember playing some of the original, like God of War 1, 2, 3. So the side games I never really remember much from. So it was interesting to hear about the story with Deimos and how important and then awkwardly not important to the overall story that it was.
During his adventure, Kratos sinks Atlantis, beats the heck out of his child self, and kills the god of death.
Also that.
He finally reunites with his brother, only to see him killed in a battle against Thanatos. With all of Kratos' ties to the mortal realm now severed, Athena attempts to fully transition Kratos into a god, and shockingly, Kratos replies with a vitriol-soaked threat.
It is not over. The gods will pay for this.
Officially the god of war, Kratos rules with an iron fist, conquering cities left and right, to the point where the gods of Olympus start to get a little bit concerned. After Athena brings the Colossus of Rhodes to life, Zeus tricks Kratos by offering him the Blade of Olympus and convinces him to put all of his godly power into it in order to bring down the Colossus. Which, to Zeus's credit, it totally does, but it also leaves Kratos drained and, well, mortal. This gives Zeus his opening to kill Kratos and send him down once again to the underworld. Kratos doesn't spend very long on his yearly vacation to Hades and returns to the world of living with a brand new goal. Kill Zeus and anyone that gets in his way.
Oh yeah, where the hell is this crazy horse of time that Kratos has in the other games? Where's his giant Pegasus?
In order to do that, Kratos enlists the help of the Titan Gaia and sets off to find the Sisters of Fate, kill them, and use their power to return to the moment he was killed. Kratos succeeds, but before he's able to kill Zeus, Athena sacrifices herself by throwing her body in front of Kratos' blade. In her dying words, she explains that Zeus is Olympus, and that his death will mean the total destruction of the gods. Oh, and she also tells Kratos that Zeus is his father. Spoilers.
No, I have no father.
Kratos really couldn't care less, though, as he goes
Those
back
old
even further in
PlayStation
time,
graphics.
gets an army of Titans to fight alongside him, and storms Mount Olympus.
Zeus, your son has returned! I bring the destruction of Olympus!
After a brutal fight with Poseidon, Kratos confronts Zeus and, wouldn't you know it, he dies. One more trip to the underworld, but this time he
shucks, he
kills Hades
dies.
himself before making it back to the world of the living. Kratos learns that the key to killing Zeus is once again within Pandora's box, locked away behind the flames of Olympus, which can only be extinguished by Pandora herself.
The same box that you opened in a previous game that was already opened and using MacGuffin to do a story point that you have to go back to and get again because, I don't know, something about it is different that you have to...
After killing pretty much every remaining god left in the Greek pantheon...
There they go. There they go.
Kratos finds Pandora, faces off against Zeus in a rage-charged shouting contest, allows Pandora to sacrifice herself to quell the flames of Olympus, and then checks inside the box to find nothing. Turns out, when Kratos first opened the box to kill Ares, he released all the evils kept inside of it.
Yep.
Those evils infected the gods and instilled Zeus with the fear that drove him to try and kill Kratos. But Athena hid something else inside the box: hope. Using the power of hope, Kratos kills Zeus.
Using the power of hope.
Once and for all, which leaves the world in a pretty bad way. The ghost of Athena attempts to get the power of hope back from Kratos in order to rebuild humanity with her as its ruler. Instead, Kratos takes the Sword of Olympus, drives it through his belly once again, and returns the power of hope to mankind.
Yep.
But death is a minor speed bump to the god of war.
Yep.
Kratos' Greek journey ends with a blood trail leading off a cliff and a horizon full of godless chaos. Obviously, Kratos' adventure is far from over. How did he survive this, make his way into the world of Norse mythology, and become a seemingly solid dad to a kid named Atreus? We'll find out when the next God of War hits PlayStation 4.
Well, will we find out? I don't know if we'll find out. We don't find out we just played through all of God of War 2018, and we didn't learn crap. we didn't learn anything, pretty much. But more or less, didn't figure out anything. So now, this is all a bit of a transitional period. Let me start bringing these up because these are the digital comics. The digital comics. There are technically 5 of them. Uh-oh, I brought up the wrong window. Yeah, there are technically 5 of these, but for whatever, all my research, I found that there are 5, but you can't find all 5 of them, but they're archived here on this YouTube channel on, I guess it's McGuire, just to give credit to who took the time to get these online. I am not going to sit here and try to do voice acting. I have not also read most of these myself. I've sort of like tabbed through them. But this is the series of comics that lead from the older games into the game we just finished. So, wait, Kratos smashed a half giant and got a kid out of her, and she effing dies, and boom, Ragnarok. In the old, I also, in that documentary, this is the interesting thing, in that Untangling God of War, there's a lot of comparing God of War story to try to piece it together with the actual mythos. But the Norse mythology and stuff like this isn't like, it's a huge game of telephone, just like all these older books. There's multiple different books that this comes from that has been compiled and put together. So you can't even look at the old mythology stories and even try to come to conclusions about where this is going to go anyway, because it's not congruent. They're not even the same. But so these are all like 5, 6, 7 minutes long. They are digital comics, so they have sound effects and things of that nature. And I'm gonna let them play, and we can watch along and read the comics. Might have some pauses here and there, just so people don't get too lost. But this is supposed to be the only real major connection to what happened between the older games and the new game. Except there is one other comic series that doesn't mean anything. It's called like Fallen God, God of War Fallen God, which I read through all of it, and it's kind of trash. Nothing happens. Anyway, let's do these. And again, I haven't read through all of these yet. I just wanted to see if they like worked properly.
I search for a challenge.
I can't do a Kratos voice. Bunch of wolves? This is the first issue. He's just all of a sudden in Norse wintry land. Because the end of the God of War 3 stuff, he's just like, it's that blood trail off a cliff. Like, so this still doesn't even tell us like how the... There was a text box behind my head. Oh, is that actually Faye? I think that's Faye. I did not fight them. Wolves. He defended himself. Yeah, definitely more of a prequel. Yeah. And dealing with his Spartan rage, yeah. Aw. I do not search for something to fight, it says behind my head. I seek to test myself. Dude, the art's crazy. Who just smashed the wolf? What the hell? Oh. The words of the trolls meant nothing to me, but their intent... Oh. Okay. They tried to save the wolves? Looking for a fight, believe they had found it. So there's history with those trolls then, because the first one you fight in God of War. Oh, no weapon. Oh God. Look at that. That framing. Oh, he killed both trolls. Okay. It was all about trying to control his rage, I guess. He still killed those trolls. Damn. I want to make my camera over here a little bit smaller too. 1 second. So I don't cover up some of the text. Whoops. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. There we go. So he's in Scandinavia already. He already has Fae. This is already a time jump beyond the end of all the OG God of War games. So how long, I wonder, is this before the start of the actual God of War game? Like, is Atreus like a year or so younger? I don't know. Like, go out to chop wood? That's how we start the game, too. Yeah, years to months before, somewhere in that realm. Seems like they tied some of these comic book stories into the live game just to put it together in a way. Wolves again. Well, this is natural winter, I would assume. I mean, this could be the winter before the game starts. That could be a possibility. Like the winter just before the game kicks off. Because it... Let me scooch myself over here a little bit more. The, obviously it's not Fimbulwinter. So this is Scandinavia. Faye is still alive, and it's natural winter. So it has to be at least half a year to a year and a half before the events of the game start. If it's just because winter is waning in the game where it is, right? Or is it starting again? It's confusing. That is quite the bear. Who is that? We've never seen any other people. This is really all about this mental fortitude thing that Kratos is dealing with. Those are teeth, yeah. This boy just tackled a bear. Whose yell was more fierce, the bear or Kratos? Just stare into his... Oh, okay. Holy crap. He was trying to control his rage. He still ripped off the jaw and or throat of the bear. What's the... Is that controlling his rage? Damn you both to hell. With 2 L's. There's like other people. There's no people in the game. Other than just the other Aesir. Right? Yeah, just casually suplexes a bear. As a portal? Yeah, there's no other people in God of War 2018, so who the hell are they? Oh, is the illusion of him? Oh, Faye's not home right now. Oh. But he says you killed their brother today? They've come for their brother? The bear? Are these shapeshifters? What the hell? It was a giant Wolverine bear. Exactly what you said. Yeah, who are these crazy bear people? Who the hell are these bear people? Because they're too big to be just Wolver. The bear was their brother. Yeah. because they turn in. They're just berserkers. Yeah. So that where Kratos is walking through the rock, that was just walking back through the this. This is the walking through the illusion that's around their home. Yeah. This is the wall that's an illusion around their home. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kind of a portal. It's just the walking through the wall, I guess. Only, but then the berserkers walked right through it too. So it must just be a trick of the light. It's not like actually a thing that keeps people out. In Norse lore, berserkers give into their rage and turn into beasts. Yeah, well, this qualifies. I would say this definitely qualifies as a beast. They're kind of similar to how the Wolver are designed in God of War 2018, but those are more like werewolves, but they do have really long claws. And those claws, like, remember that the animation they do, right? When they get low health, like they freak out and they start glowing and their claws distend out of their arms. So I wonder if that's an analog to this, but these are obviously huge. These are giant, like, bear monsters, whereas the Wolver are just like werewolves because they're only a little bit bigger than Kratos in the first place. So I wonder if that was just a different... Okay, well, let's pull up part 3 here. Or, well, technically it's part 2, because the first one's the prequel. The first one is that prequel, and now there's 4 parts in the prequel, I guess, or part 0. Yeah. So we're fighting the Wolverine bear things. Thud. They're honey badgers? Accurate. They're honey badgers. He just cracked that one in the back of the head. Oh, good left hook. Is the third one? Yeah, this is before Atreus has his bow. The image is kind of scuffed. Did our mans just bear hug a bear and break its back? Sorry, bear hug the honey badger? Holy shit. And that's the other one. Oh, there's his hatchet. Hmm. Uh-oh. Oh, Kratos is a chiropractor before the events of 20... Oh, okay. Oh, you made Kratos bleed his own blood. Oh, yeah. That must this in the comics, Kratos seems to say damn you to hell a lot. And I know that's how the original games, that was a lot of, I mean, we saw that in the little recap, that he has a lot of like yelling damn you. He really doesn't say that much in 2018, does he?
In there!
Yeah, what he said. What did he say? Oh, but this is showing that Atreus can read them or understand them. Just putting into that hole that he can understand a lot of languages. It says Mortal Kombat pose. Yeah, this is pre-training Atreus for sure. Where's this big forest near their house? Maybe in the area we can't go in the game? He's just trying to protect his family. True. I will wring the life from them with my bare hands and bathe in their blood. I will have my revenge on them for what they... Your inner monologue definitely isn't controlling his rage, Kratos. Just, I'm not sure if bathing in the blood of your enemies is very rage controlling. Indeed. True. The Vala. They were talking to them? The old seer. Atreus is so happy by any amount of interest by his father. Always steer clear of the old hag, but I know that your mother values her counsel. Yeah, this is this old lady. We never talked to her in the game. No idea. This is like their first little mini adventure. He's what, 10 years old? All right. That's pretty literally the only time I was here. Just like walks in. No knock, no nothing. That's like a tear in space and time. What the hell was that? Oh, it's just a room. Who the hell is that? I know of you, Kratos, Godslayer, in the past from which you... But Atreus is outside the house, so he doesn't hear this. Okay. So that still holds with... He doesn't know anything at the start of the game. What the heck? Who the hell is that? Who the actual crap? Who the crap is that? I guess we'll find out right now. I have no idea. Nope, sorry, it was like right to it. Fire and death lay along the path you walk, and bloody-handed you will both follow the path to its end. The local gilf? Oh, shut up. She's a friend of Faye, or at least not a friend, but... And she knows Kratos is a Godslayer. The Berserkers, okay. Only a handful remain. Is a bear god? Pray to their self-made god. The focus of their strength, not the source. The source of the strength is their fury, which burns and gives them power. Let the old woman's words go unchallenged. The simmering anger that I feel on hearing them is proof enough that she speaks the truth. Yeah, this is a character we definitely never ever run into in the game. What's up, Ben? These are, you've missed most of them going through the prequel comics to God of War 2018 right now. Yeah, it's like his mantra, I control my rage. A price for the ritual. The ritual to find out where the totem is. That was fast. The art is so wild sometimes. A long house, a day's journey to the north. Oh, all this stuff is north of their home. We never go there in the game. Not specifically be trying to curve off to the east. Sometimes the chat bubble's right behind my damn head. Kratos with this little hatchet. Okay, okay. The boy stays here with you, Seer. I'll return for him when I have seen the beastmen. Oh, so Kratos stays with the... Oh, yeah, that's okay. There was little inklings of him looking out for Atreus. They just clearly don't have the best relationship. Oh, Mortal Kombat pose. Damn wolves again. Yep. Stealth Kratos? Ah! Ah! Damn it. Yeah, there's the damn you again. Just break the bear statue. Oh. Yep. Oh, he gave them a choice. That's a big move for Kratos. They don't seem to want to listen to him. So much for diplomacy. Yeah, there's the damn you to hell. Good grief. Okay. Yeah, the damn you to hell is so prevalent in all this, but it's just not a thing in the game at all. All right, last chunk. Last chunk. Let's see what Kratos does here. He yells, and I have to rewind. There we go. Oh. I wonder who recorded all these roars. Is it actually, I don't know if Christopher Judge actually did them. Well, there's one down, I guess. Kratos with this tiny hand hatchet is so silly. Good lord. Yeah, Kratos uses headbutt. Kratos is not a Pokemon. He do be fighting bears though. Yeah, you should have broken the damn statue. Oh. chopped off the idol's arm. Ah. Teeth. Wait, you didn't let them live. You burned them all. You still burned them alive. What the hell? Kratos. You will need this. Old hag gave him a knife. Yeah, might have let them live. That's true. That's true. He just climbed up the sheer cliff. Oh. Oh, he actually calls him Atreus. I wonder if you actually translated this, is this accurate? Like if you translated this from Norse into, you know, English or something, would this actually have like real chat bubbles and isn't just gibberish? That would be, I mean, that makes sense for Studio Santa Monica, that this would actually all really translate out to dialogue. Oh, his head is backwards? I don't know what you expected, mate. Oh. Old Berserker got to her. Mm-hmm. Well, old woman still died. I'll leave the fighting to me. Huh. So yeah, definitely doesn't really answer a whole lot. Is just a little prequel comic series. The old woman, the hag gave him a knife. But the knife in the game is just Faye's knife. There's not like any direct connection there, I don't think. And we only see Faye as, you know, like the secretary from Powerpuff Girls. So only see her, you know, from like the elbow down, which is fine. Yeah, again, that untangling God of War goes into a bit of actually how Studio Santa Monica, in those big reliefs, I forgot what they're called, the big double door reliefs that you get a lot of the lore from in God of War 2018. All that stuff apparently translates accurately, or at least accurately enough, where the symbols in all the language, the Norse language, does have names, locations, and has words that depict things, like the big relief that has Tyr on it. All the words are direct. The documentary goes into all those things where they're relevant, of course. So I didn't know that. I didn't know they were just symbols, but they are translatable into just, you know, plain English in this case for me, where they do have significance in what they say. Yeah. So that's sort of our recap and catch up. So then, of course, now all of God of War 2018 happens and all that. Let's jump into the behind the scenes, or all of the behind the scenes stuff for Ragnarok here. Let me pull this first one up. So first up, just to set the tone for this, here is the launch trailer. Now, this is going to be where we move into like the Ragnarok stuff, so if you don't want to see anything from the game, that's fine. But then we're going to watch the actual little featurettes that Studio Santa Monica has put out that I love behind the scenes. There's a new one today that dropped that I have not even watched yet. So the previous 3 I have, but I always have to rewatch them to make sure I didn't miss anything. But this is just the trailer, and then we'll watch the 4 behind the scenes.
Time is running out. The prophecies say Fimbulwinter leads to Ragnarok. War is coming.
You don't really want war. All that blood on your hands, on your son's hands.
Fate only binds you if you let it. We will make our own destiny.
All right, let's go right into the yeah. So this is shaping the story.
We're coming off of God of War 2018. How do you
I love behind the scenes.
that?
The people that make these games,
How do you
movies, etc.
deliver something that players will love maybe just as much as God of War 2018? The pressure was tremendous.
All the artwork, the character work, the story writing, the scripting, and the dialogue.
My name is Ariel Angelotti, and I am the senior producer for narrative.
My name is Richard Gobert. I'm the story lead for God of War Ragnarok.
I'm Jody Kupsko, and I'm the supervising dialogue designer.
It's my job to shape the story along with our writing team, our narrative director, and game director.
As a producer, it's my job to help build a team to create that content, to own the schedule in realizing that content.
I oversee the dialogue production throughout the entire titles. Every line of dialogue that you hear, every human vocalization and effort and grunt, our team touches.
So I'm a man now. Like you?
No. We are not men. We are more than that. The responsibility is far greater.
In the story of God of War 2018...
And this game is basically just a giant movie. There is a... Here, I'll put another resource in chat here, one that I can add later. I'm not gonna watch this. Like, I found it in putting together this today. On some of the, let me see, where is it? There we go. There is someone compiled as close to possible. Let me just hit this with the no time. Someone compiled as close to possible. It's a mix of all of the cutscenes, story scenes, and boss fights, with as much or as little UI, as minimal UI as possible. It's 5.5 hours long. It's sort of like God of War 2018, the movie. And you can almost watch the whole thing as a film, which is why this is so wild to me, that the people that are behind making this game and now that are making Ragnarok, which we will start playing in, less than 12 hours, so much of it is almost a movie that has gameplay intermixed. And the amount of time that, obviously, with the technology they made with this game, with the never cutting camera, it doesn't just cut and there's no like load screens that just take you out of it. It does lend itself to be viewed and experienced almost as a movie that you have gameplay segments between. And that's one of the biggest accomplishments I think that this team has done at SMS for this. I think it's incredible, just because I'm a film nerd, but...
We find Kratos seemingly having turned over a new leaf in the Norse lands. He lives a quiet life, hidden in the woods, with his wife Faye and their son Atreus. And the story starts with them mourning her death. and we learn that she made a final request before she passed away. She wanted them to spread her ashes from the highest peak in all the 9 realms. He's scared of being a bad father, a bad influence, and as a result, it's made him an absent father. His greatest fear is that he's passed that evil that's inside of him onto his son.
You are too quick to temper. You are rash, insubordinate, and out of control. This will not stand. You will honor your mother and abandon this path you have chosen. It is not too late.
They befriend Freya, who is an exiled Vanir goddess who used to be married to Odin. They meet Mimir, the self-proclaimed smartest man alive, who serves as their guide and their confidant. They meet the Holdra brothers, Brock and Sindri.
Best characters in the game.
World-class weaponsmiths who end up their main source of upgrades and equipment. Now, among the enemies they make are the Aesir gods, whose leader is none other than Odin, someone we never meet in God of War 2018, but who can.
A side note on this. In all of these reliefs, these lore reliefs, there is a symbol in almost all of them. This one in particular, this is Tyr right here, and this is Thor, and this is Odin, because of the 2 ravens and the spear. But Odin, and that big documentary goes into this, and I didn't pick it up on it when I was watching it. Odin is actually seen in almost every single one of the reliefs that you uncover. Like there's 18 of them in the game or something, or 12, 18 lore markers, 12 giant lore reliefs. But in many of them, you see Odin riding on the 8-legged horse that is actually one of Loki's children, which that's Old Norse. That's not how this game is based, because clearly that doesn't exist right now. So how is Odin riding on one of those weird creature children of Loki? But I didn't realize how many of these Odin is a part of. Like his stamp on this game is very subtle, but other than the ravens that you throw your axe at over and over again, he's kind of a lot of places that you may not have noticed. I didn't.
Casts a very long and dark shadow over the 9 realms.
There are consequences to killing a god.
Why? How do you know? How do you know?
After many adventures, Kratos and Atreus end up fulfilling Mom's wishes, and over the course of that journey, they find out more about each other and about themselves, and finally find a common ground between them. They become the close family unit that Faye hoped that they would become.
Yeah. After our ass kicked by the Valkyries.
In God of War Ragnarok, we fast forward a few years, and little Atreus is now a teen, and they're back to hiding out in their home in the woods in Midgard. During the course of the previous game's events, they were forced to kill Odin's grandchildren, Magni and Modi, the sons of Thor.
Yep.
Thor does a lot of the lion's share of Odin's dirty work, and as a consequence, he's a very violent, unstable personality. At the end of the last game, they were also forced to kill Balder, the son of Odin and Freya, and that has its own set of consequences. He was a very powerful chess piece for Odin, one that Odin is incredibly bitter about losing. Freya has vowed vengeance.
Not really our fault, though, I guess.
Of her son. Kratos and Atreus didn't want to kill him. They were friends with Freya. But Balder tried to kill her in front of them, and Kratos had no other option in the moment but to kill him to save Freya's life, even though it meant losing Freya's friendship.
I will parade your cold body from every corner of every realm and feed your soul to the vilest filth in hell. That is my promise.
He saved your life.
He robbed me of everything.
This type of narrative construct too, by the way, which is so well done. Again, this game is basically a movie. This whole part where, like, you know, a parent will die for their children, right? That's, I'm not gonna say it's a trope, but it gets played and used as a trope in a lot of literature and films and things of that nature. The weird way to think about this too, like logically, if we would have let Balder kill Freya, okay? So she died for her child, her only child in this case, in the game lore. And Then if we just killed Baldur right after, then they'd just both be dead. But then you wouldn't have this discussion, because this flip on what, and this happens again, the documentary goes into this too, that this happens and is one of the foreshadowing elements of a lot of the game, where all of these sons or daughters kill their parents. And that's that moment that Atreus asked about that. Is that how this always going to keep going on? You know, just children killing their parents, which is definitely a thing that happens in a lot of mythologies and is still being played out here, even though it's a little bit adjusted because of how this game is not a one-to-one. It's not a retelling of old Norse stories.
Everything.
His death is also foretold to bring about Fimbulwinter, which is a brutal 3-year winter that is then followed by Ragnarok.
Man, the game looks so good.
It's an apocalyptic war between all the Norse gods, the giants, the dwarves, and the elves, and an army of the dead. They're all destined to fight in a battle that basically ends the world. Kratos is understandably worried about his son and what it means for him.
You get to go on this journey with how Atreus grows into a young adult and how Kratos grows into his next era in his life, and really see kind of the parent that he's striving to be, but the person he's striving to be. I find that tale so incredibly relatable.
We had started shooting plenty of content before the pandemic hit. In fact, the week before we all went work from home, we were doing a shoot. I remember being on and off that set, running back to the office and having to talk to studio leadership about what was going down and how this was going to impact us moving forward. And those were trying times.
For us, it was a very unique challenge because we had to bring in actors and we had to record them. And so we had to look at different ways of adapting our typical motion capture process and dialogue recording process so we can continue production and continue at the quality that we wanted for our players and our fans.
We had some actors stand in for other characters, actors who were already, who were like core to one of the scenes, might just be able to play a background character in another scene to be able to avoid a situation where too many people were on set on any given day. We avoided compromising the story that we were trying to tell as a result of the pandemic and these limitations that we had to deal with. There were no cinematics that we changed. We still have the same characters in them in the final game. We just had to get a bit creative with how we shot the content.
Our actor for Atreus, Sonny, is a teenage boy. Yep. And his voice changed dramatically throughout the several years on this title.
I don't want to fight anyone. I just want answers.
We had to go in and even out that performance so it sounds like it took place over a short period of time. That was a unique challenge on this one.
The prophecy say.
Yeah, Sonny got the role. He was 10 in real life, the actor, and he would be 14 now. 10, he was 10 or 11. He was basically the same age as Atreus, more or less, and now he's the same age as Atreus, more or less, in this game. But this game only takes place 3 years after, so I wonder how that's going to be. It sounds like his voice sounds great. I mean, it has to grow up. He can't sound the exact same as he did in 2018. That would be silly.
Fimbulwinter leads to Ragnarok. War is coming.
Whether the Norse saga was going to be a trilogy or just 2 games was something we debated a lot. There were obviously pros and cons for either approach.
I think fans want more after this
Cory
different.
Barlog to weigh in, and he did, and he said, let's do it in 2.
The consequence to that is, how do you wrap up this story in one game and do Ragnarok justice? How do we lead up to that and then have
it's got to be Asgard, right?
At the end of the game and wrap up all those loose threads. This game is bigger than what we initially envisioned. There's a lot of important story moments that we needed to cover. There are more characters that we follow the threads of. And ultimately, it ends up feeling big and epic because there is a lot there for people to enjoy.
I am very excited for folks to see this final chapter.
Same.
A lot happens. We put our characters through the ringer. But we also bring them closure, and we
9
provide
hours.
answers to a lot of the
9 hours from
the
now.
first game posed.
Just all of the new combat that we're doing and the new interactions. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in this title that I think people are going to have fun with.
We all have our own personal Ragnaroks to deal with. And this story is about how you process that, how you own it, and how you make it a part of yourself and grow from it.
I mean, we set some stuff up at the end of last game. There's going to be some consequences this game.
Some
We're
stuff?
See how things play out between Freya and Kratos. We're going to see how the evolution of the family relationship continues. You got Brock and Sindri, the dwarves, who are kind of part of your makeshift family.
Best characters.
now. And there's going to be some other characters that we introduce that maybe going to disrupt the balance a little bit. I can't wait until players get their hands on the
Do note when they even bring this up, and these are conscious decisions, both on the fact that I saw this when I was setting this up last couple of days. There hasn't really been shown very much about Angerboda. That's who that girl is. They popped by the screen. But listen to what is being said and watch the screen when Angerboda shows up.
The dwarves, who are kind of part of your makeshift family now. And there's going to be some other characters that we introduce that maybe going to disrupt the balance a little bit. I can't wait until players get their hands on the game or are able to experience how the story unfolds for themselves.
We have, I think, an incredibly well-rounded game. Very satisfying combat, beautiful and rich environments to explore, outstanding character art, a lush and moving soundtrack and soundscape. It's the work of hundreds of very dedicated artists.
Over 4
and they all
years.
have their own stories to tell.
Should go right into the next part right here too. PlayStation. Yep, 9 hours. So this is the combat and enemies elevated section where they're going over. I am super excited because I really like the stay in melee and parry combo stuff. So I am looking forward to like the parry shield synergies in the combat system. Which again, it's 6 p.m. and I hope to be live by 3 a.m. So 9 hours. Mark your calendars, set your clocks, set your alarms.
From a combat perspective, I always, and I still feel like the meat and potatoes of any God of War game is combat.
Yes. There's like new finishers and stuff in this game too, and new finishers, new shields, new traversal.
My name is Roberto Clemente, and all my friends call me Bert.
This man is a legend.
I'm a senior combat animator here at Sony Santa Monica.
He seems so awesome.
And I'm a gameplay animator.
Hi, I'm Sabra, and I'm a senior VFX artist on God of War Ragnarok.
My name is Grace Pan, and I'm a gameplay animator in God of War Ragnarok.
Hi, I'm Stephen O'Hara GBA, combat designer on God of War, and I create interesting and memorable creatures that players like to attack and defend against.
As an animator, you gave life to characters. You make them move, you give them personalities, you give
It's a
them
large
weight.
boy.
My role as a VFX artist is to put the power behind a move. You are in control of fire and earth and water and wind. Whether you are throwing your axe or on the receiving end of an enemy spell, VFX is what really gives the movement and the danger to every move that a character or enemy makes.
I don't know if that's a weird like hint or something, but she lists all the different elements that you're in control of, but really you're only in control of, and you have lightning and light, and then you have frost and fire. So I don't know where like the wind and earth come into play. I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I work really closely with the design team and the tech art team on this project specifically. We actually work a lot with camera, along with the guidance of our great camera team.
Oh, the
so I
mocap,
find myself
man.
doing
Love
fight
it.
choreography sometimes.
So cool. Oh, Kratos does throw rocks.
Being a combat designer.
You're totally right. I'm sorry, Steven, who has an amazing last name. That is true. Kratos does throw rocks. I don't know if that's what that means, but
Isn't the technical implementation of creating a creature, but it's really navigating that line between frustrating and engaging. We want to make something that makes players lean forward and focus and really try hard against that enemy and feel good about overcoming that, but we don't want to make them feel defeated if they can't figure something out.
And then it feels rewarding when you win, not because it was impossible, but because it was fun and engaging.
Unless it's a Revenant. Revenants are awful.
After the last game, we've heard the community cry out for more mini-bosses, bigger creatures,
and less
enemy
Revenants.
variety. And this time we really leaned into that. So in God of War Ragnarok, you're going to be traveling to all 9 realms, and each realm is going to have like its own theme of enemies that are very unique to that space. For example, in Alfheim, we're familiar with the Dark Elves, but this time around we're going to be fighting Light Elves, such as the Light Elf Warrior. One of the key learnings from the last God of War game is we don't have to think about the camera and how close combat is going to feel. We already have that knowledge, so we can build upon the close camera.
It looks like it's further away.
On enemies, creating more interesting scenarios. In the last game, Atreus was just starting to fight alongside Kratos, and he was learning from the master tactician. So in this game, he's trying to prove himself a little bit more, and we built upon those mechanics.
This is gonna be wild.
The previous God of War, Atreus was still a kid, right? So he has a lot of dependency on his father. And for this game, you will see Atreus moving more independently on his own as a companion.
Whoop.
In regards to VFX for Kratos, I think what the players really love is the powerfulness of it. When you are playing as Kratos, you really do feel like the God of War. And moving into Ragnarok, we want to really make something bigger, make it stronger, make it more of a spectacle. You want them to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that the Blades of Chaos could get even better, but look at that.
So as Kratos gets more powerful, he's going to have access to newer combos and newer abilities that will increase the combat depth of each weapon. For the Blades, one of the moves that I've really enjoyed from previous God of Wars is the combat grapple, and we're going to be bringing that with a new twist.
You can pull yourself forward.
For players to try the blade grapple.
That's gonna be fun.
Moves that brings so much more speed into the movement and the dynamic feel to it.
One of the ways we've expanded Kratos combat this time around is we've given more utility and choice to the shield.
Yes.
If you are a parry person, you could really go for a shield that gears towards parrying. If you're a big blocker, then you could choose a shield that will really match your playstyle.
One new mechanic or element that I'm really excited about is these combo finishers. Building up the stun meter this time around.
Yeah, this is new.
To different ways to basically decapitate the enemy.
Shut up, Nico.
You're
Shield's
be able
awesome.
To choose, which weapon you want to have when you kill a guy. Another feature that we've added for Kratos is his new pre-fall attacks. You could jump off a ledge, and if there's an enemy below you, you could
The God of War Ragnarok team has played Dark Souls?
slam down on him.
There's such an emphasis on verticality in some of these fights that it's super engaging. And as Kratos, now that you have so much mobility and that you can also take advantage of that verticality, I think it just adds such another interesting layer to a fight.
Get juggled?
In God of War Ragnarok, we've enhanced the Kratos and Atreus duo. He's going to initiate a little bit more and be aggressive. He's going to fight alongside you and sometimes even surprise you with his combo abilities too.
Some of the new expanded competitive actions that you'll see Atreus do leverage the fact that he's older now, he's bigger now. And he's different from Kratos, so his magic has a different flavor.
Not only that, the fight side by side together.
Atreus just summoned a Patronus? One more time on the Patronus?
That you'll see Atreus do leverage the fact that he's older now, he's bigger now. And he's different from Kratos, so his magic has a different flavor.
Not only that, the fight side by side together, there are also a lot of mini games and player interaction moments. For example, like the puzzle systems.
Yes, give me more puzzles.
We'll see a lot more collaborations between father and son.
That could work, John. Yeah, that could work. Yeah.
There's so much that goes into building a big set piece. you basically iterate and iterate and iterate, and it takes testing and just seeing what works to really figure out the personality of something. Basically, every department gives it their all to make things really spectacular. There were a lot of different times that I would look back at God of War games just through the ages before 2018. There were so many amazing, huge boss fights and set pieces that it was a huge inspiration for me on my time on this project.
Yeah, I wonder how many Valkyries there are.
Our philosophy for creating new and memorable enemies is basically making them a combat puzzle, similar to like chess, and focusing on the chess pieces. Each piece has its own theme and its own use.
You need to be able to see what's happening in an instant and be able to react as the player.
Game is quite quick
There's
at
a couple
times.
different ways that we go into making an attack very readable for the player. Sometimes we add a signature audio cue, or we'll add the different rings, such as what we did in the last game, that let you know that this attack is unblockable, you need to dodge it.
There's so many different ways that VFX really helps not just show what an enemy is about to do, but show who the enemy really is.
Everything you design has to be surrounding the essence of the character and a story.
I feel like I don't mean to pause that often. Although pausing does break it up, so hopefully the algorithm doesn't eat me. This
to be surrounding.
I did not expect. Obviously, Brock and Sidri made both Mjolnir and Leviathan X. Leviathan X kind of has like a Stormbreaker-ish MCU vibe going on. But oh yeah, my art scene. I don't know how this is going to work. Because is Leviathan X strong enough to go up against Mjolnir like this? That seems ridiculous. And Q, you said a review you saw about the Valkyries. They aren't challenge fights anymore. Are they like only boss fights? They're not like the run around and find them and then unlock Sigrun kind of thing. Yeah, as I just said, they're made by Brock and Sindri. But I always thought that the power behind and the density of Mjolnir was one that was just something that nothing else could really compete with. I mean, this is an awesome scene, and clearly this is just part of the boss fight that we're going to eventually experience, but Mjolnir isn't the same as the MCU Mjolnir. Well, of course. Yeah. Another type of enemy takes the Valk's place in Ragnarok. Oh. So an enemy that kind of falls into that challenge fight, but the Valkyries are just going to be more integrated in the story oriented. Very cool. Very cool. I mean, again, we're T-minus 9 hours from experiencing all of this together, and hopefully you guys want to join me on that journey. Again, there's going to be a stream tonight from 3 to 6 a.m. and then I'll flip it around and go back to bed and then wake back up and do a regular stream normal time today. So there'll be two 3-hour-ish blocks for the launch, and then every day normally at 3 p.m. So
the essence of the character and a story. It's what makes it believable and memorable in the first place.
Yeah.
I think what I'm most excited about is for players to experience the diversity of enemies that this game has to offer. You will be fighting everything from small little creatures to things that will take up the entire screen.
It's a dinosaur!
All of their designs run the gamut. I think each one looks so much different from the next one, and each of them have their own play styles and their own little fantasies that go into it. And so I think if you are really into Norse mythology, you'll be very interested to see how Sony Santa Monica has taken some of these creatures and interpreted them for God of War.
Everything that goes into the game, there's emotion behind it and intent behind it, and by the time it gets to you, everything that you've seen that you're going to play and experience has been sweated over, bled over, tested, and is fun to play.
Those definitely look like wildlings, like actual humanoid enemies there, not Draugr. So that's gonna be an interesting one. All right, the next segment is designing characters and creatures. Is the third little featurette that SMS did put out. So let's do this one as well.
I get to lead a team of fantastic and brilliant concept
this
artists.
is insane.
And our role is to create
The art in
characters
this
that you see
game.
in the game.
What the
That's
hell?
Everything from the main hero cast you see to the creatures, the gods, and monsters that you come across.
Chicken!
The hope is that we get something that feels unique and stands up to the history and the legacy of what the God of War franchise has always done. I feel like from the first games, that was a similar approach that they were doing, and that's not always easy.
My name is Raf Grassetti. I'm the art director for God of War Ragnarok.
My name is Marissa Copper.
You're a god,
I'm
Raph.
a character technical artist.
Hi, my name is Angela Rico, and I am a senior character artist in God of War Ragnarok.
Hi, I'm Della Longfish, and I am the lead of the character concept team at Santa Monica Studio.
Let's go.
Come in. What in all yarns me that happened to him?
As a character technical artist here at SMS, I rig most of the characters and props that you see throughout the world.
As character artists, our job is to create
So
3D
ridiculous.
assets based on the beautiful concept art provided to us. We do this by making sure that the silhouettes on the models and the textures and materials stand out instantaneously. So when you see our characters on the screen, we want you to almost like them immediately or have a connection to them.
This is the old concept art for Brock and Sindri. Dude, look at Auntie Sindri's hat, dude. Look at that hat. Look at that freaking hat. Woo! It's so good.
To some extent before even interacting with them.
As art director, I get the chance to collaborate with all the departments in the studio, from narrative to viz dev, because we want to make sure the factions feel correct, all the races belong to where they're supposed to be, like all the realms have very specific characteristics about them to make sure it all fits within the God of War universe.
Sorry, one more thing. Although, these are gifts I'm giving to you, so I shouldn't be sorry and you should be thankful. Anyways, here, please be careful.
In the God of War 2018, we saw Brock and Sindri, and that was the tip of the iceberg of the Huldra. And in God of War Ragnarok, we actually get to go and visit Svartalfheim, where they're from. And a great part of that, too, is we want to make sure that we expand the cast. You know,
Harry
we've
S.
just
Pumpkins?
seen a little bit of what was represented, and that was something that we hadn't seen.
Svartalfheim is a beautiful place. There's a lot of different biomes. You go from wetlands to mountain springs, and took a lot of inspiration from hot springs, from the minerals that you find. A lot of colorful minerals, a lot of resources. So the dwarves being the races that they are, we knew we wanted to play on that as well. So you see their influence on Svartalfheim on every corner.
It's a realm where you're going to find a lot of water environments. There's quarries. It's a very industrial city. It's very organized. And
That's
you can
wild.
see all the dwarves putting all the work into creating this great city where they live in.
Holy
Knowing
crap.
that they're blacksmiths, that was kind of reflected within their clothing. And you see that within the houses in every inch.
Yeah, Sindri's face as well. Look at this freaking hat. Look at these gloves. Oh, it's too good. It's too good. Rocket Raccoon's just dead on Sindri's head in this one.
We want to make sure that both the environments and characters had a cohesiveness that felt like every inch of it felt like it went together and was designed specifically by them. And again, that's something that we haven't seen in some of the other realms and is unique to this characters and their location. And the hope, it all goes together and creates a feeling within a realm that you're excited to see, feels unique, and really creates that sense of wonder where you want to go back.
Dinosaurs!
When designing a character to match the geography around it, first it's definitely dictated by the biz dev team and the narrative team and the story team. They make sure the character is designed for features that fit in with what they need.
When designing the Grims, we took a lot of inspiration from the environment. So we took a lot of inspiration from lizards, creatures that kind of belong to that
lizard
environment.
bats.
They have those big claws. There's small critters to the big ones, and really building up that race, making sure they kind of belong and that realm felt lived in and that ecosystem felt like very diverse.
Making sure that it feels natural and believable is a big part that goes into the design elements. So our artist, Stephen Oakley, pulled a lot from the environment concepts that Luke Berliner and his team were doing and put a lot of those into actually the skin texture, even the bulk and volumes that you see in the characters. So it really does feel like Not only do they belong in there, but you're able to see them and they stand out for the combat experiences with the character.
Kind of like a rock troll from The Witcher.
Character design is all about storytelling. In the example of Durling, his design was really tailored to convey his own personality. He's a bookkeeper from Svartalfheim, and because his job demands, he's very organized, he's very rigid, and he's a very play-by-the-rules kind of guy. But then in contrast, you have his friend. So when you see Durling connect with his pet, we see that he's not all just this rigid librarian guy.
It's a weird
but
squid
he's got a softer side to him.
octopus
I do
thing.
believe that we're all storytellers, no matter what we do, even in the tech side of things. I mean, we work to make these characters that then tell a story, and we can also kind of put those features and traits on our rigs.
And who the hell are the mer people, man?
Prophecies say Fimbulwinter leads to Ragnarok. War is coming.
Svartalfheim, the dwarves, working with different races from different realms, so definitely seeing Ragnarok and the impact of that into the realm, it puts them into this position that's very interesting to see which side they take and things that they're building. So as you go through the level, you find out a lot more about this race and the political situation that is happening while Ragnarok and Fimbulwinter is taking place.
Hey, looks so good. Other NPCs.
They're running away.
One thing that our hope is with the cast of characters within every realm is not that it's just enemies there to kill you. We want to feel believable and that there's a wide world out there, but we want to kind of plant these seeds within any cast of the realm that there's more outside of what you're playing, and we want the fans to feel like they can go back and really visit those areas and want to go explore.
If the geysers and smell here are worse because of Fimbulwinter, maybe the earthquakes are too?
Aye.
Going into Svartalfheim, I'm really excited for players to experience all the new races that lived in that realm, how they play very different from anything
Tell me
we had
stories.
before. There's wildlife, it's something that kind of goes unnoticed, but we took a lot of effort to make the realm feel believable. So there's a lot in Svartalfheim, a lot to explore.
I'm really excited for Svartalfheim. It is a gorgeous realm. After looking through some of the cinematics and playing some of the cinematics and playing through some of the puzzles, I'm so excited how water plays such a big feature in that realm, and that is so cool.
I'm most excited for fans to finally get to see how the dwarves live. Brock and Sindri were fan favorites in the last game, so I think that all the work that we've put into Svartalfheim is going to make all the other dwarves shine just as bright as the brothers did.
The best part I have is turning on the YouTube and seeing all these call-outs and all the attention to detail that the fans pick up on. That's one thing that we keep in mind when we're designing characters, to make sure we do right by the fans, and knowing that all the work we put in,
conscious decisions.
Appreciated. That's not always the case, but our fans just get every little nook and cranny on that, and we love that, and we packed a lot of that in for this new cast, and we hope you guys get the same feeling with God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, there's some just wild art going on, and I was really surprised they did like a specifically an art featurette here, because the artist that it's usually like a weirdly unsung, like there's the meme in like the Warcraft world is that the art team carries and then the system team just fucks it all up, right? Because the systems of a game is how you interface with it, right? Your upgrades, your economy, your resources, your abilities, your weapons, your skills, your blah, 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 your all that kind of stuff, right? That's systems. But art sometimes is usually a cool aesthetic in indie games, like, oh, it looks cool. Look at this. It's cute and it's neat. But there's something about how ridiculously in-depth. So there's actually a huge article that kind of goes along with this episode. I'll plop that in here. And this is actually extra interviews with art director Raph, which we just saw on screen a moment ago, and there is a whole bunch. It's actually quite a dense article. I'm not going to go over it all today, and if you want to dive into that more later, again, just more things if you would like to go check. But they go into the different aspects of all the little hidden details that are actually woven into the character, even like down to the if you look at, I'm leaving this screen up on purpose. If you look at Atreus's armor and how he has the stitching that holds together parts of the armor is red. These were conscious decisions to invoke a similarity to Kratos' tattoos. Obviously, there's something on Atreus's face, but he has a big red swatch that goes on his left arm and his left above his elbow and stuff and his left shoulder. And that's in Atreus's base garb. Obviously, this will change in the game as you upgrade his armor, if that's the same thing. Kratos and Atreus both have like their separate XP systems in this game, so it might not be like the same system we saw in 2018. But like there's part of that interview, again, in that blog about them making these kind of decisions in art direction to tie the characters together in these small ways. And it's really cool. Like, this stuff is baffling to me, just how, again, it's all conscious decisions that people make. You know, these Easter eggs that they plant here, it's on purpose. And it's really awesome to see how much that has come together, and the time and effort it takes a team to put so much detail into little things, as again was just mentioned in the featurette. There's one more. This one came out today. I have not seen this one yet. This is the Accessibility Explored featurette.
My favorite part of user experience design is when we get to have a player sit down and play the game and experience it regardless of the barriers they might face. Seeing players just overjoyed at the experience is one of the things that brings absolute joy to my heart. I hope that everything that we do to make accessibility better within the game, that's something that we can bring to as many people as possible.
It's a little louder than the other ones, maybe? This is all new. I might not have anything to really add to this
I'm
one.
Mila Pavlin, and I'm the lead UX designer on God of War Ragnarok.
My name is Sam Chappelle. I'm the Associate UX Accessibility Designer.
My name is Zhou Xiayi. I'm a rendering programmer.
Hi, I'm Kate Marlin, Senior Producer of the Gameplay team. My primary job is to make sure that as I'm looking across the game, as features are developed, that designers and programmers and artists
High contrast
are asking
mode.
themselves, am I taking accessibility features into account while I'm designing this? Is there something I can add systemically that will help integrate this feature across the board?
My job is to hook up everything and implement the accessibility features on the rendering side so that the designers are able to implement the features into the game.
Great. I'll head across for a better look.
User experience design allows us to look at accessibility from the user perspective. So we are the ones who are actually going into the game and looking at the different design problems that there are to solve within the game. And
Yo, on-screen controller? Let me bop down my bottom overlay there. Do you guys want me to have my controller on screen for the playthrough? Is that anything that anyone cares about, to see my button presses? And to see how many times I mess up a dodge roll or a parry or something like that? What the hell? Controller visualization. No, thank you. Immediately, Nico. No, thank you. We know you suck. Wow! Holy crap! All right.
figuring out ways that players can access that content regardless of anything that they might have a difficulty with because of accessibility concerns.
Accessibility at its core is making sure that we allow folks who want to play a game to be able to access the game and all of its features.
That allows players to have experiences that they might not otherwise be able to. From swinging your axe as Kratos to traversing the realms and experiencing the story. These features make it possible to do these things.
People are no longer limited by their physical capabilities, and they will be able to enjoy the game just like anybody else.
There's a saying in the accessibility community, never about us without us, and we really wanted to make sure that everything that we are doing is with the community and not just about them. So we have to reach out to fans and understand what their needs are when it comes to accessibility concerns, and we have to reach out through consultants and playtesters to understand what things may be hindering someone from being able to complete the game.
It's always the best to be able to communicate with the user and see what they're happy with and what they want improved.
Some of the most inspiring things that I've seen that have made me want to think more about accessibility is seeing the stories that players have and how much it means to them when they're able to sit down with the game for the first time and play more than they ever thought they could.
Boy, we must be better. You must never forget that.
With the last God of War, we ended the game understanding that there were major problems with the way that we were designing for accessibility.
Based on community feedback,
And they're going to go into the community feedback, I suppose, and better. They're still, if you go into God of War 2018, there's quite a number of features in the back end menus. There's still like a lot of really good stuff that they built in. So this is just building it even more.
From the last title, we've incorporated several features into this title to make the experience more accessible.
We talked to them about what they needed in order to play going forward, and we started to prioritize things very early in production. I think that was one of the biggest lessons we learned, is that early production, making sure that we have everything in place at the beginning of the development cycle. If you're trying to bake a blueberry muffin, you don't wait until the end to put the blueberries in. You make sure that it's in the batter.
Of course not.
And with accessibility,
Ooh.
we needed to make sure that we put those blueberries into the batter at the beginning so that they could bake in and we would have accessibility.
The
at the end.
colorblind modes?
By having controller remapping, by having assists for things that seem trivial, we allow people to get past those blockers and experience it in a way that it's intended. The features that I am most excited for players to try out are the combat assists. I think that these are just amazingly fun to use.
In the last title, we
The
had
hell's a
feature
combat
called
assist?
Center on attack. Every time you'd hit an enemy, the camera would make sure that enemy was centered.
When we're looking at God of War Ragnarok, we've expanded those combat options to allow for recenter on swing, which means that as you swing your axe in combat, you're going to slowly orient towards a different enemy.
This is one of my personal favorite features because every time you swing the axe,
That
or
actually would be really
swing the
helpful.
blades, the camera recenters towards the enemy.
Wow,
This
Nico, shut
allows
up.
players to go into a space, and if you have limited mobility or if you're unable to utilize the look controls, you can still target different enemies even though you're not hitting them.
One of the most important areas of innovation
Yeah,
that
that's actually super important because there were, I mean, I don't know if you were here for like the send-off stream to God of War 2018, where I was basically having to like hard toggle lock onto certain enemies to like move the camera to them. This was mostly in like the Muspelheim or Niflheim challenges, because there's so many enemies and you need to like focus this one, but move away from that one. And the camera does in that game essentially just kind of like beeline forward and you're targeting. So that's going to be interesting. I'll have to mess around with those settings and see which ones feel better, because it kind of hard locks you straight forward whenever you're fighting. And it's 360-degree arenas, and not only that, in the next game now, we're going to have verticality too.
have on God of War Ragnarok would be the increased controls access that we've allowed. So, for example, players are now more able to remap the controller and choose from a wider range of presets.
The feature that I'm most excited for players to try is the Collector's Mode. Collector's Mode highlights collectible objects in the game, such as ravens, so they're much easier for players to find.
I'm excited for players to try various features that we've created, from high contrast mode to traversal assist, auto pickup to navigation assist.
Oh yeah, I heard about auto pickup. What?
Assist was one that I particularly am proud of, because we went from not being able to have someone navigate through the game at all to having someone be able to navigate using just a navigation assistance ping. So we looked at games like The Last of Us Part 2 and how they were navigating players through their world with low vision play. And we took our own internal compass system and were able to actually allow players to rotate their camera towards the compass and navigate to their next objective.
Other features to look out for would be subtitle customization. So, for example, you can color the subtitle differently from the speaker, and you can even have the speaker name show up or turn that off if you don't like to see that speaker name in front of there.
Oh, that's
you can
cool.
set a background for the captions, so when you're seeing the text, if you need more contrast behind the text, that's an option that's added in there. Another cool, exciting feature that we added was directional indicators to our captions and subtitles. So wherever a noise caption is coming from, the arrow will be pointing to it. So if there's a character speaking and you see the subtitles on the screen, there will be an arrow pointing out also where that character is relative to the player's camera.
Cool.
All these features will enable players to experience the game in different ways and adjust the challenge to their needs.
Some of the things that I found useful are just settings around kind of reducing the amount of inputs I have to do when I don't feel like it's super necessary for me to control that aspect of the game. This one has helped me by having options like traversal assist, which just kind of makes the character vault over things and climb up things automatically, which reduces the strain on my body, so I can just get ready to fight rather than just be spending time like traveling over things.
I think a big misconception people have about accessibility features is that they're only applied to certain people.
It's not about making a game easy. It's not about adding cheats. Accessibility controls are beneficial for everyone. It's beneficial for people with disabilities to be able to better engage with the game, but also open up those menus and see what they can do for you.
People think accessibility means easy mode, and it is absolutely not about easy mode. If someone is unable to use their hand, for example, it doesn't mean that they want a lower difficulty. They just need it to be able to set the controls in a way that allows them to use the controls differently.
I'm partially deaf, so I can only hear out of my right side. The fact that they had audio panning made me really, really happy because I still can feel vibrations through my left. So I just channeled more of the audio through to my right side, which enabled me to hear everything just kind of better.
Growing up playing games one-handed,
I don't think that's actually pretty wild. Audio stuff and making it work for those that are partially deaf or, you know, deaf in one ear, as she just alluded to. That stuff is even in the film world in places because of how you could listen to a movie that has essentially directional or like 3D panned audio, because different frequencies of audio, I don't know if you know this, like audio can sound, obviously it's only going into your ear holes, but you can sound like it's in front of you or behind you. That's a huge deal. That actually takes quite a bit of work to make panning and directional oriented audio a thing. That's wild.
It's very challenging. Early games didn't have all the accessibility features that games like God of War Ragnarok and The Last of Us Part 2 have.
There's a stronger motivation there to be a better developer and a better designer when you know that you are making people's lives better by allowing them to play.
The future of accessibility in video games is very exciting. As we continue to innovate and the conversation grows, the experience just gets better for everyone. My hope is that it will expand beyond our current audience to include everyone.
The more every studio takes in information about what can make accessibility better, the more we can inspire each other and the better we can make all of our games more accessible.
I really have a high vision of making games that are not just accessible in the way that you can just get through them, but that they're accessible in a way that they are enjoyable and create more choice for players. When we look at the way that the industry is turning, we're moving away from this idea of let's just get the player through the game and more into how can we make an accessible game the most enjoyable
water
experience.
puzzles.
And how can we integrate these things into our games at a core level so that every player has access to those things. And as we expand that, I think that we're going to see an industry that is not only more accessible, but is more enjoyable overall.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I even went in, and there are a bunch of features you could even do in God of War 2018 that I was messing around with and changing some of the key mapping on even how like button presses reacted, because I didn't want to, like the neutral that the game is based at to begin with is fine, but there are still ways to make a few of the toggles and options a little better, or like they feel better to play. So the fact that they really made a huge effort, even see beyond what they did in the previous game, to make even more options. I think the puzzle navigation assist one is kind of cool. That one probably, it doesn't necessarily give the game away, but if you notice that when they were showing off the water puzzles, it highlighted the areas that you can interact with as a player, so that you're not just like standing around. Because there are some puzzles in 2018 where you're just kind of like, where do I go? It gets to a point where you get used to looking for very specific things, and that's why, like, you know, the lightning arrow stuff or the blue crystals, all of those are made in ways in puzzles to be very stand out-ish, but helping with more of that, even might make streaming it something I might turn on at first, because I don't think that's very fun to like go into a mine shaft and be like, where do I throw my axe? You know, that stuff not too great if I just sit in there faffing about, as it says. So let me see. I think that was everything I had scheduled for today, other than showing up. Well, I mean, I do have one more that I have planned. I do have one more. This one is fine. I guess as like a wrap down. This is fine. Let's do... This is called the Myths of Midgard. This actually came out a couple of months ago. And it's sort of like a little narrative walkthrough. The reason why I put this in the playlist for today is because it has a bunch of Mimir in it. I guess a bunch. It has enough Mimir that I'm about it because he's a fantastic character. So, well, I think we can end with this one. It's only like 6.5 minutes long. You may have already seen this, though, as with many things today.
It's quite the storm we're having.
A little Felicia Day.
Seems Fimbulwinter's here to stay.
It's also like a kind of a commercial.
All things do.
But not really.
In the meantime, how about a story while we warm by the fire?
I want this book, though.
Those filthy spies. That old man sees more now than he did when he had both eyes. Ah. One of my favorites.
No, give me that. Can
It's a story of
we buy this book anywhere? Probably like $200. What the hell is this prop book, though?
adventure. A father and son working together to overcome insurmountable odds, setting in motion the greatest war the 9 realms have ever seen. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Let's start from the beginning. There once was a god from a far-off
That's
land
fine, Ben.
who settled in Midgard, disguised as a
The
man.
Ben, Scrappy, the Ben
He
one,
started
yes.
a new life, had a wife and a boy.
We can watch it.
They were happy together. In peace, they found joy. His wife passed away. Kratos mourned with his son. But where one journey ended, a new had begun. Faye's final request, though it seemed rather bleak, spread my ashes atop the 9 realms' tallest peak. As they readied themselves for the long road ahead, a stranger accosted them in their homestead. Baldur sought answers as Odin's hand. Kratos gave none to the Aesir firebrand. They made way for the mountains. Kratos taught the boy skills, keeping godhood a secret but training to kill. Gods were always in danger, this Kratos knew, but secrets, he'd learn, could harm the boy too. They found Mimir in a tree, punishment for his wrongs, so they lopped off his head, and they brought him along. Mimir held ancient wisdom and knew the lost god of war. He warned, tell the boy, but Kratos ignored.
No, no! Now hold on a minute. Is that all that's in there about me?
Something to add?
Actually, yes, I do. You see, Odin, in all of his dreadfully paranoid wisdom, trapped me in that bloody tree for perceived wrongs. And I led quite the colourful life before even meeting him. It all started when I was just a lad in the service of a great fairy king.
Riveting stuff, really. We'll have to get back to that later.
No! Don't turn the page! I wasn't finished!
If Mimir were telling the story, we'd be here all day. Anyways,
Let's do it.
they met Freya, masquerading as a witch in the woods.
Mimir story's
A god
top tier.
knows a god. She would aid where she could. She cautioned, you must tell your son he's divine. But Kratos dismissed her. He'd regret this in time. On the road, Baldur's allies, Thor's sons, attacked. Something snapped in Atreus as he tried to fight back. The Aesir lost the battle, but Atreus fell too. Kratos rushed him to Freya. She would know what to do. Freya was disheartened with the father's neglect, but with the heart of Hell's troll, she could save his son yet. Kratos thundered through Helheim and slew the great troll. He had captured its heart, but in his, burned a hole. He returned with his offering. Freya cast a keen spell, and Atreus was healed, though not all was well. Kratos sat with his son, and for once he was true, revealing he was a god, and Atreus was too. Delighted at first, it seemed all would go smoothly. Then arrogance followed and bent Atreus toward cruelty. With tensions flared, Baldur preyed on their discord, casting back into Helheim Kratos and his ward. In Helheim, they learned Freya caused Baldur's plight. His mother's ill-conceived curse robbed his life of all light. They emerged from the realm as they neared...
Oh yeah, side note. In that documentary I linked earlier, that huge video essay, there it goes into more of the Norse version of that timeline and how that happens. And it talks a little bit about how like the Freya and Frigg situation, which is not in God of War 2018. And also how the timeline of this game doesn't even line up to the mythology that it's based off of, because much of this stuff is supposed to have happened like before Loki, like adult Loki, but that obviously isn't a thing in this game at all, because Atreus is, I guess, 13, 14 years old, right? Or in the first game, he's 11. So, but the Baldur relationship and what Freya did to him is more explained from the old Norse side of things, and it's similar, but it's not the exact same. Mostly in the Norse stuff, it's actually a little weird. Freya did some like strange, old magic barter where she talked to all the different elements, and they like agreed to not harm him. It's very ridiculous, as you might imagine, as from a old story thousands of years old might be, but it does put perspective on how the adjustments in this game's lore understanding of an adaptation of the source material is a thing. So, right, it's true. I guess, yeah, Mimir did say that Fimbulwinter isn't supposed to happen for another 100 years. Yeah, there's some nods to the old stuff, but the game and the original source works are not, parallel. They're not the same thing that happened in those are going to happen in the game.
Journey's end, but Baldur appeared and attacked once again. Atreus and Kratos were ready this time, stronger together with their power combined. Freya intervened on behalf of her son, begging Baldur's forgiveness for all that she'd done. Baldur strangled his mother. Kratos lunged with a snap. Baldur slumped. Freya wailed. And he died in her lap. Something changed in the world. Snow started to fall. The dawn of Fimbulwinter. The dusk of it all. Atreus asked, "Is this what it means to be gods? Killing our parents forever at odds?" "No!" Kratos bellowed as he dropped to one knee. "We will be the gods that we choose to be." Finally, together, they reached the Great Peak, finding Jotunheim's temple, the giants' retreat. A prophetic mural showed the life they had led. The boy's mother was giant, they learned as they read. Atreus walked to the cliffside. Kratos eyed the wall slowly. Beneath the boy's picture, a name was etched. Loki.
Again, more in that documentary about how it's all pretty much accurate, that you can translate these into English from all of the Norse runes that are written on the different placards around characters and stuff like that. So it's pretty wild. You remembered one thing in the original Norse mythos: Baldur is a kind soul that everyone loved, not this bloodthirsty, rage-induced creature. I think there's part of that. I think he was beloved to a point and at a time, but the version we have in 2018, right? That's not the same character. It's the character that works in this mythology's retelling and understanding for this game. But again, it's not, they're not carbon copies. And even in that timeline, they don't even sync up to the old school stuff. The old poems don't have these interactions together even remotely, right? This is obviously a amalgamation of those stories.
They scattered her ashes and watched as they lifted. Over rolling red hills, the wind danced, and it drifted. Standing side by side, feeling hopeful and new, the boy was at peace. And the father was too. With their promise fulfilled, they returned to their home. They trained day after day, lest they'd reap what they'd sown. Atreus grew restless. Wary, Kratos remained. Ragnarok loomed as the great winter waned.
Don't tell me you're thinking of stopping here. Things were just getting good.
Well, I suppose we could go on a bit longer.
An excellent idea. This is the most dramatic part. On second thought, perhaps we'd better cut it short.
It seems that we're out of time. If you want to know how this story ends, I'm afraid you'll have to find out for yourself. Until then.
In almost 8 hours. Yep, in roughly 8 hours from now. All right, so what you're about to witness, this is Scrappy's fault, and if this gets my channel copyright flagged, even though I'm transforming it in some way, shape, or form here, then you know, so be it, I guess. This is Scrappy wanted this. He asked me. All right, here we go.
That's a great observation, John.
Bella said that you'd think it was stupid.
No, I said I thought it was stupid.
Okay, you know what? This is good right here. I mean, the God of War dynamic plays out in every parent-child relationship. When that clicked for me, I picked up my Leviathan axe and felt truly close to my son for the first time.
I'm 17.
Exactly.
Leviathan axe.
Ronnie, what's going on, man? You're a little quiet today. Anything to add?
No.
No is good. No counts. You know, Quinn was where you're at about a month ago, and look at him now. Okay, last night, 2 a.m., I'm laying in bed. What am I thinking about? Kratos.
Are you kidding? That's me, big time. That's common for me.
We believe you. You're being too thirsty.
No, I'm hydrated.
Specifically, the time he
So
tried to
dumb.
protect Atreus from Baldur. Atreus got so angry, he shot Kratos through the chest with one of those, like that spiky thingy.
It was an arrow.
Arrow. Right, spiky arrow thing. I mean, nobody can hurt you like your kids, right? LeBron?
Guess so.
What's going on beneath that headband?
I'm not even wearing one.
No, I know. You know. I mean, like, if you were.
When Bronny said he'd rather play against me than with me. Shot in the heart.
Really?
So bad.
I think we call that a breakthrough. Some shots you just can't block.
I can see that now, Ben.
Kratos.
I cannot believe I missed practice for this.
I want all the breakthrough. Ella, why don't you ever hurt my feelings?
Okay, you're old and you're bald.
Got
Just
him.
like Kratos.
Now, John, last week you said you were finally ready to wear your Kratos outfit to the farmer's market. How'd that go?
Incredible. I had people pointing at me going, now that's a really great dad.
That's not why they were pointing. You were wearing a buckskin loincloth.
Ella, it's not Buck, it's Bear. And I get those points all the time. People
So
pointing, oh my God, look at that great dad.
So why aren't you wearing that stuff today?
Well, unfortunately, my armor bears the scars of a recent battle.
He spilled a bunch of salsa on it.
That can happen, especially with the leathers.
Exactly. Tattletale.
Look, if it was easy, every dad would be dressed like this, right?
Does the costume really help?
I don't know. Does the costume really help when you play basketball?
It is a costume.
It's so dumb. It's like, it's not that bad. It's a weird flex from their marketing team, honestly. Like, it's fine. it's fine. It's just, man, it's weird. It's weird, right? You can see the difference in marketing between Japan and then the Felicia Day, like, nerdy side with Mimir, and then, like, the goofy comedy, Ben Stiller, John Travolta, LeBron James. It's weird. It's weird. I love it. Wait, how do you mention it? No, Scrappy. We already did. You missed it. That was, I opened the stream with it. You crazy. We already experienced it. Do not worry. I have passed it forward into the ether to whoever was here and whoever watches in Lurker Land. It was experienced. Yep. All right, I'm gonna go have some dinner and then chill out, maybe play a little Cult of the Lamb, and then take me a nap. As long as it was viewed. It was viewed, sir. It was definitely viewed. Appreciate those that are out here for this little 2-hour, roughly. I was pretty on schedule for what I had planned out. Roughly 2 hours. It was a little longer because that last little ad right there with Scrappy, because he wanted the Ben Stiller one. I didn't plan that. But again, I'll update the description box with, because I forgot to have them all in there, with that documentary. With, obviously, if you haven't seen Raising Kratos, the big documentary that came out all about making God of War 2018. It's like 2 hours long. That's fantastic. That mini doc, that video essay is great. That huge blog post about all the concept art, their artwork, and all the different things that they make conscious decisions of in this game. I'm excited. I don't know if you can tell. It should be fun. And to play it blind and not know everything, like playing an MMORPG, you know, the closest I've gotten to something like this has been like the MSQ in Final Fantasy 14. But this is going to be a different experience. I get to go to a midnight pickup tonight to grab the system. I got to come back, plug everything in, make sure it all works, do all the sign-in, do all the updates, do all the setup. Then I got to download the game. So I'll give you guys updates in Discord and on the social media on Twitter. And then it'll be scheduled. It'll pop up. I'll aim for 3 a.m. If it's a little earlier than that, like 2:30 a.m., I'll update it. If it's a little later than that, if it's still updating and going and doing its own thing and taking forever to download, then I'll update it as well. So, time difference, John. It is currently 7 p.m. I plan to be live with the first chunk at 3 a.m. Eastern. So that's 7 hours from now. Because 4 hours from now, 5 hours from now is midnight. And then 3-ish hours from now, from midnight, will be when it pops up. So, yeah, it'll be solely noon for you. Yeah. It's 7 o'clock now. In less than 5 hours, I'll go pick up my console, and then hopefully within 2-ish to 3 hours, I'll be live with the first chunk of God of War Ragnarok. And then again, same time I normally do a stream on weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. There'll be another one Wednesday proper. And then I'm not going to stream this Sunday, but we are doing a Saturday stream. Although I might do a Sunday as well. I think we might do a Sunday as well. But that's that. Thank you all for being here, of course. Hit that like button if you enjoyed all the little BTS stuff. I don't know if everyone saw all this stuff, but I've been sort of compiling like the comic and all the other things I thought were neat to just go into this with extra knowledge. I love behind the scenes stuff for movies and video games and filming and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's 12 p.m. here now for you. Yeah, well, 5 hours from now is midnight and then another 2. So it's like between 7 and 8 hours from now. Is the plan to be live the first time. Granted, the VOD will be here, right? The chunk will be here, not going anywhere. But yeah, I'm gonna do some dinner and then have a nap. That's what my future plan is. So y'all have a great night, have a great morning, whatever comes first. Hopefully I see you back here on the launch stream, and if not, on the next stream tomorrow. I'll see you then.